Pop culture right now feels like it's stuck on repeat. Instead of generating anything genuinely new, we are just recycling the styles, sounds, and aesthetics of previous decades. The philosopher Mark Fisher traced this back to what he called the loss of loss. High-definition recording technology means that nothing ever truly fades away. Everything is securely archived and immediately available. The 80s, 90s, and 2000s aren't history. They are all happening at once, right now, on your feed. These torn, overlapping vintage posters are a physical map of our digital reality. Past eras continuously pile up on top of one another, creating an oversaturated density. When the present is this crowded with the past, genuine novelty struggles to find any space to grow. This cultural loop leaves a generation suspended in nostalgia, struggling to imagine a different tomorrow because the present is already too crowded with the recycled past. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1989, global capitalism presented itself as the final, inescapable form of human society. This birthed the political doctrine of TINA, an acronym for There Is No Alternative. Our collective political imagination narrowed. We stopped dreaming of entirely new ways to organize society and restricted our view of the future to market forecasting. In India, the year 1991 marked a specific historical pivot. The state traded its utopian developmental ambitions for access to global consumer markets, reorganizing the economy and the social imagination. The result is a condition called terminal temporality. The future is no longer viewed as a canvas for radical social change. It survives as a projected software update, a slightly faster, slightly shinier extension of today's economic logic. To diagnose why our timeline feels broken, we have to borrow a specific vocabulary. The philosopher Jacques Derrida gave us the exact word we need: hauntology. To understand hauntology, consider its opposite, classical ontology. It assumes time moves in a straight, stable line. The present is self-contained, the past finished. But hauntology insists the timeline is fractured. The present is porous, interrupted by absent pasts and futures that never arrived. The ghosts in hauntology aren't supernatural specters floating in the fog. They are the unresolved political promises and historical remnants that prove our current reality was never complete to begin with. Looking back at post-independence India, we find one of the heaviest historical ghosts, the abandoned utopian promises of Jawaharlal Nehru's developmental state. The state attempted to force directed time onto the nation through 5-year plans. Massive, measurable infrastructure projects, like this dam spanning a river gorge, became the literal, physical expressions of progress moving in a straight line. But forcing history into a straight line creates friction. Notice the working-class individuals cooking on the dirt in the shadow of this massive industrial piping. Those whose daily rhythms didn't match the rigid industrial timeline were easily cast aside or displaced. The modernist ghost is the unresolved trauma of the marginalized, lower caste, and indigenous communities. Their alternative ways of living were erased to build the illusion of clean, linear progress. Digging into an even deeper layer of history exposes an older, active ghost, the British Empire's theft and reorganization of Indian time. It forced indigenous communities into an alien temporality, framing their natural, seasonal rhythms as backwardness that required strict bureaucratic discipline. We can trace the origin of that discipline to buildings like the Government House in 1890 Calcutta. The legal codes drafted here, codes which historically criminalized queer sexualities, did not evaporate with independence. These colonial residues, from administrative maps and land relations to legal codes, persist as active structures. They are the gears of a 19th century machine that still dictates the limits of modern freedom for living bodies today. Bringing our focus back to the immediate present, we have to face a complex reality. Colonial bureaucracy, modernist infrastructure, and neoliberal markets do not neatly replace one another. They fold into each other. We are living in a state of dyschronia, time out of joint. As you watch these digital fiber optics pulse through an ancient stone foundation, you are seeing our reality. The advanced gig economy apps and AI networks are operating directly on top of ancient, caste-marked social infrastructures. Acknowledging this temporal density is a political act. It forces us to question the triumphant narratives of historical progress and forces us to look at the cracks in our timeline. To break out of current stagnation, we have to stop consuming a past as empty nostalgia. We have to actively reckon with the ghosts of our lost futures, the dreams of decolonial ambition, ecological coexistence, and radical justice that are still waiting to be realized.